Virgin Australia's $200 million bailout. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my afternoon stein of coffee and I thought we'd have a look at this article discussing Virgin Australia's $200 million lifeline, or as I would call it, a bailout. Now think about this. The Queensland Government is offering Virgin Australia a $200 million loan to keep them going. Now, would you want to lend your money right now to Virgin Australia? Because if you're living in Queensland, that's what you're essentially doing. Because remember, the government doesn't have any money. The government doesn't have anything. All it has is the ability to draw taxes on their population, which are all of us. And before we go through this article from the ABC, I'll just bring up this image that someone shared from Forbes. Virgin Australia shareholder composition. You've got 9% of free floating. So, Etihad is 21%, Singapore Airlines is 20%, Nashan Group is 20%, HNA is 20%, Virgin is 10%. So surely, these 5 other large organisations could sort out their own business. But no, they have to turn to the Queensland Government, to us, the people who live in this state when it's already indebted, when they are putting up the costs of everything, when they're taxing our petrol, when they're taxing all our products with GST. Yeah, I'd argue, let it go under, buy the airlines and parts and components cheaper. What do you reckon? What do you think? Virgin Australia offered a $200 million lifeline by the Queensland Government. I mean, this is the problem. We need an upper house in Queensland to check a lot of the stuff they're doing. Queensland Government is offering $200 million to help rescue Virgin Australia, which is headquartered in Brisbane, but says it will not be enough to keep the airline afloat. Then why even bother? Why even bother? Let it fail. Guys, what's going to happen with the airlines? You think they're going to scrap all the planes? Then another party can come in and buy them that may actually be able to run it more efficiently. It's been running at a loss for a while, hasn't it? Minister for State Development, Cameron Dick, said the federal government must lead a national response which should include additional funding from the states and territories. The airline has asked for a $1.4 billion loan from the Commonwealth to help it through the illness pandemic, but it has so far been offered a share of $165 million. But where are their cash reserves? Where are Virgin Australia's cash reserves? If they disappear, another airline will take its place. The market will always provide. It happened in the past again and again and again. The state doesn't need to take on more debt to prop up these businesses that we're all going to be responsible for. This is the problem. People don't realise that all of us, all of the citizens are responsible for this. We will have to work. We will have to work to pay it back. Or you'll have to, lose on your capital gains to pay it back. Or pay as you go to pay it back. Or an investment they'll take off you to pay it back. Mr. Dick said the Queensland funding was conditional on federal government backing, as well as debt restructuring, shareholders and bondholders doing their bit, the airline keeping its head office in Brisbane, and ongoing regional flights. Queensland can't do this on its own, he said. If we're going to have 2 national airlines at the other side of this pandemic, then all governments need to come together to ensure that is the case. We know that on routes where there is only a single carrier, the cost of flights can be 20 to 25% more than when there is competition. To have competition means prices are lower, and that's in everyone's interest. Yes, but bailing out a struggling airline isn't the way to do it. Maybe we need them to go under, and then there'll be opportunities for other people to take the leases on the aircraft. For other people to take the landing rights at the airports. Other opportunities to grow. You need the creative destruction of the free market But they're intervening. And we'll be stuck paying for it one way or another. Do people not realise that? And I know if we're in magic money printing, bloody MMT world, we'll still be taxed to regulate the economy in the future. You know, we'll get too excited with all this printed money. So, although I'm surprised he appreciates competition. On Thursday, the federal government announced it would spend $165 million to get Virgin and Qantas to run a baseline domestic service for the next 8 weeks, but did not commit to a bailout, saying it's confident the market will come to Virgin's rescue. The news was not enough to stop the company from holding a meeting with unions and experts to discuss ways to avoid going into voluntary administration. I mean, how long has this been going on, guys? A couple of months? Thousands of staff have already been stood down, and the company has gone into a trading halt. Mr. Dick said he was yet to speak with any other state or territory government about their willingness to contribute to a bailout. But the early indication from other states and territories was that they would be reluctant to get involved. West Australia's Premier, Mark McGowan, and South Australia's Premier, Stephen Marshall, both noted that Queensland had more incentive to contribute because Virgin's head office was in Brisbane. Yes, but is that head office worth $200,000 or $200 million worth of government debt? Is it worth it? The Victorian and Tasmanian governments say they did not have any plans to offer money. Mr. Dick said the prospect of foreign buyouts demonstrated the need for a national response. Foreign buyouts. What the hell is he talking about? What is he talking about? It's already foreign owned. So what? Doesn't matter anymore, guys. It doesn't matter anymore. Any international investment underlines the point that it has got to be a national response to ensure the airline can continue. Well, maybe it won't continue. You're going to lose those votes, Dickie. You're going to lose those votes. There you go. So the Liberal MP is not tempted. Queensland Liberal MP, Andrew Laming, said the Queensland Government's contribution reflected the huge employment base in Brisbane. The ultimate solution is to get the economy rolling again. We won't be handing out billions of dollars unless it's going to make a difference, he said. I mean, he's right there. The solution is to get the economy moving again. Something has to happen. You know, I mean, some people are saying they don't think this will end in the month. Last one or two. It's going to have an impact. I'm most interested in the behavioural changes that will actually come out of this. If people will learn. Here's the thing, with a lot of these businesses getting bailed out, with a lot of these tenants being allowed to just ignore their responsibilities, are people going to learn the hard lessons that they have to learn? I know it may sound harsh, but if you're like in a previous video, that guy who $150 a week extra payments on his investment property and he's at the wall. $150 ain't that much. If you can't scrape that together to keep your investment, you are running way too close to the wire. If people don't even have enough reserves, and I'll have to find that article there, but I think most people had savings of less than $90, or a big proportion of Australians had savings under $90 in the bank. It's crazy. But if people aren't going to learn from this that you need to have something in reserve because they've been cushioned too much by the state, what chance do we have as a civilization? This is the time when people go never again and change their habits. And if those habits change, that will have an impact on the retail sector moving forward. We'll see. Maybe I'm just, because since I got rid of the beard, I'm being young and naive. I need those white hairs to make me more cynical. And maybe I need to just look at Afterpay's turnover in the next quarter. We'll see. So we can't be distributing taxpayers' money purely on the whim of what is ambit claim for $1 billion unless we make a difference. Oh, well, I don't know. I thought, isn't that the whole thing that happened with that sports rorting? I mean, this is the whole thing. When the government takes money, well, no, they generate money out of nowhere to give to people. And then they require us to work to pay it off. Seems fair, doesn't it? Seems fair. There really need to be some hard limits on what government can do. We need to scale it back significantly. New South Wales Labor MP Jason Clare said without 2 airlines, the task of crawling out of the illness crater would become harder. Then a new airline will miraculously appear if there's an opportunity in the market. Think of all the tourist jobs. They're already gone. All the destinations that Virgin flies to, they're not flying there. We need 2 airlines so we've got enough planes in the sky to help the economy recover after the worst of this virus has come and gone. National Secretary of the Transport Workers Union, Michael Caine, said the Queensland Government's announcement was welcome news. What's needed now is for the Commonwealth Government to step up and take an equity stake in this company urgently. Here's an idea. Why doesn't the Transport Workers Union take over the airline and start to run it themselves? With all their skills in negotiating contracts and getting good deals for their workers, they should be well suited to run it. They should run it as a co-op. What do you reckon? A co-op airline? Surely, wait for it to go down in value. Go sweep in and buy it up, lads. You can do it. You can do it. I'd love to see that. Just like all those other co-ops that don't exist. The very worst thing that can happen is for this one to be left to the market. The market has shown one thing consistently in aviation, and that is it's broken, it does not work. No, it hasn't shown that. It shows aviation is inefficient and bloated. It shows that people want to pay nothing to fly around. They want cheap, cheap, cheap. This is the thing. This is all the people who are advocating for Australian-made product or for this or for that. And there's another article saying Australia needs to start manufacturing more medicine, even if we have to pay more over the counter. That's the problem. People don't want to pay more over the counter. People don't want to pay extra because our wage growth has been stagnant. It's ludicrous. So people can't afford to pay extra. So Mr. Caine said it was vital that 2 viable airlines survived the end of the pandemic. Well, maybe one of the airlines isn't viable. The federal government needs to follow Queensland's lead and make sure they have control now so that at the other end of the crisis, it's going to be vital that the global gateways open up again. Well, Centre for Asian Pacific Aviation Chairman Peter Harbison agreed that having a second airline was critical for the economy. In this case, it looks like it's going to be necessary if Virgin is to survive. It must survive for the government to step in. No, it mustn't survive. It doesn't. No, another airline can come back. Remember Compass. Remember Compass 2. They went, they're gone. They went, they're gone. This happens. The market adapts, guys. They're not going to turn all the planes that are sitting there into cubes. Someone can come in and reuse the infrastructure, maybe a bit better. Maybe not completely foreign owned, that it maybe intentionally running it at a loss, wanting a government bailout. What if we had 7 different little airlines, one servicing each state? Wouldn't that be good? Maybe a little bit more competition. Maybe the government needs to get out of the industry, deregulate it a little bit. If financiers won't come to the party, then I think the Australian government needs to. No, stuff them. Stuff them. The Americans have shown the way with this. They've both introduced equity and have given funds to what is actually the most profitable airline industry in the world, so they can still be there when it's all over. It's just too important to lose it. You're not going to lose it. It's going to adapt and change. These things happen. This is part of business. It's an unexpected event. They aren't robust enough. They don't have enough reserves. They've been running at a loss too long. Maybe it's got something to do with the foreign, the companies that own it. Maybe they need to step in and buy it up. Buy up the rest of the shares. Because, that 9% that's free floating on the market, wow, it's really Australian owned. Anyway, guys, what do you think about all this? Are you happy with your government jumping in and lending money to Virgin? Or would you rather the market decide what happens and we don't take on another $200 million of debt? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, everyone. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you want to support us, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay, or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch from Teespring or HeiseSays on our blog, or you can send us gold via Gold Pass, or support us via PayPal. Thanks everyone, I appreciate your help. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.